Hey everyone, Nick DiVirgilio here, and today we are diving deep into one of my absolute favorite drum kits from Gretsch, the Broadkaster series. These drums are full of history, character, and that unmistakable Gretsch sound. I'll be playing throughout the video, and we'll take a close look at the shells, the interiors, hardware, and everything else that makes these drums so inspiring, both sonically and in how they feel from behind the kit. So let's get into it. Let's first talk a little history. The Broadkaster name dates back to the early days of Gretsch, and we're talking the 1920s and 1930s. The Broadkaster became a key part of the drum line in the 40s and 50s, back when Gretsch was helping define what modern drum tone even was. The Broadkaster drum kit is the series that's responsible for the company's iconic tagline. Come on, you all know what it is, that great Gretsch sound. So many of the superstar drummers of the day, such as Max Roach, Art Blakey, Art Taylor, Philly Joe Jones, and Louis Bellson, just to name a few, made music history playing drums with this DNA. Moving forward a little into the 50s and 60s, the Broadkaster name started to fade away a little bit, but it never died. And to the delight of many Gretsch fans and aficionados, the company officially reissued the Broadkaster line in 2014, staying with the same 3-ply shell formula. Today's modern Broadkaster brings that vintage spirit into the 21st century with some beautiful updates. Same character, more precision. Here's something cool. A ton of Gretsch artists choose Broadkaster as their go-to kit. Whether it's touring, recording, or TV sessions, these drums are showing up everywhere. Check out this list. It's a long list. Why? Because they can do it all. Rock, jazz, funk, Americana. The warmth and resonance translates across styles. And more than that, they're just a joy to play. Every note you hit feels connected. The rebound, the tone, the character, it's all there. Let's now talk about what these drums are made of, because that is a huge part of what makes these drums so musical. The kit I'm sitting behind is a classic 4-piece configuration, a 14 by 22-inch kick drum. Shallow, sounds great. 14 is a great size for a kick drum. An 8 by 12-inch rack tom, a 16 by 16 floor tom, and a matching 6.5 by 14 snare. Broadkaster shells are the classic 3-ply shell formula of maple, poplar, and maple. There's also an interior scarf joint that supplies added structural integrity. Coupled with that, round over bearing edges. That combo gives you incredible warmth, deep tone, and a beautifully round attack. You get low-end thump from the poplar core, and maple adds focus and balance. The toms and the snare drum are outfitted with Gretsch's 302 3mm double-flanged steel hoops. These hoops are similar to the stick chopper hoops they used back in the 1950s. The drums also have Gretsch's classic silver sealer interior, which helps with projection and gives them that slightly dry, controlled response. You'll notice that on this kit, the tom holder and the tom mounts are direct to shell. I personally love this. The drums sing, they have great resonance, and you can place the toms, in this case just one rack tom, so easily. But you can get your Broadkaster kit with a virgin kick drum or with the drum rail mount. You can also have the toms come with the wonderful GTS tom mounting system if you prefer. There are many, many build options. The drums come out of the box with coated permatone heads on the batter side of the drums, clear permatone heads on the reso side of the toms, and a coated front drum head with the classic Big T logo. These are the heads made by Remo for Gretsch. But it's also worth mentioning that these drums will take on completely different characteristics if you change the head combination. I'm playing these drums for you as they come from the factory, but don't be afraid to change it up and use your favorite heads. It's a fun experiment, and you may find something you never knew was there. Gretsch offers these drums in a variety of nitron wraps and satin or gloss lacquer finishes. The drums definitely look as good as they sound. The color I have here on this kit is gold mist satin. I'm going to take you through all of the details up close in just a few moments. These kits are built in Ridgeland, South Carolina by the same expert hands that craft our USA Custom and Brooklyn drum kits. All right, enough talking, and let's get into some more playing so you can hear these drums in some more detail. But before I do that, just very quickly, bear with me here, let me quickly mention all the other great gear I have here with me in this video so you know how I'm recording these drums and how I'm bringing the sound to your ears. Coupled with these drums are some beautiful Sabian cymbals. Everything is going into Telefunken microphones, both up close and out in the room. All of the mics are being fed into Universal Audio Apollo interfaces and then on into Pro Tools. Everything brought together to give you as clear a sonic picture as possible. Not hyped, just what these incredible drums really sound like. All right, now it's time to play these drums some more in detail. First thing I want to concentrate on is the matching snare drum. Now, so many times when we get drum kits, we don't have matching snare drums. We get metal snares, different kinds of snares with different shell configurations, shell formulas, but this one has the 3-ply shell formula. It's cracking, it's so musical. The 302 hoops give you a great side stick sound. Oh, that's good. Wow. Wow, it's cracking. Let's check it out with the snare wires off. It's beautiful how it's thinner sounding in a musical way at the edge of the drum, which makes sense. As you get to the center of the drum, the warmth, the roundness, the tone really starts to take shape. So it gets fatter as you get to the center. Beautiful musical tone between the snare and the rack and the floor tom. Just imagine if you had a bigger kit, how much more musical it would be. I'm kidding there. It's so musical just in this small configuration. Big and punchy though, that's the thing. There's a punch to the sound here, especially from my vantage point, from sitting behind the kit. The punch is so inspiring to hear. Now let's put the snare wires back on and play some more with the beautiful and so smooth, silky smooth, easy to use, lightning throw off. On, off, on, off. It takes nothing at all, it's great. Now, let's get into the kick drum. Everything on this kit is completely wide open. There's no dampening at all, exactly right out of the box and into my drum room here. Now, I normally play a kick drum with a hole in the front. I like just the way it feels. I like when it's a little bit deader. I like that I can bury the beater. But with this kick drum, the way it's set up here, I could still bury the beater. and even get that wide open tone, which is kind of the best of both worlds. It's big, it's round, but it's open. Now you put a little dampening in there without the hole. You can still put some dampening on the inside, and you'll get a tighter sound. Now with this setup like this, you still get warmth and punch and attack. Now, just my opinion here, when there's a hole in the front head, sometimes you get more attack because it's a little bit quicker of a sound. You don't have the long decay of both heads going on at the same time. But this drum, with the permatone heads, the 3-ply shell, you get plenty of attack. All wide open like this, you could still play things like that and hear every drum nice and clearly. Now let's get into the sound of the toms with the snare wires off first, and then I'll put them back on, and we'll talk about it a little bit too. Here we go. These toms are so musical. Great tone interval between the two toms. I just have two toms here, a 12 and a 16, but there's a great note difference between the two drums, and they just sound great wide open like this. Now these heads, the permatone heads, they're single ply, so you're gonna get a snap and a crack out of these heads. It's gonna be different than a 2-ply head like an Emperor or a G2 or Response 2 from Aquarian, anything like that. But you could take these heads and put a little dampening on them. I have some snare weights here. Love the snare weights because they're so easy to use. Let's try a little M1 on the rack and one on the floor, and also one on the snare. Let's see what these do to the drums. See, it just takes away that much decay. You still get all of the attack of the head, but the decay is not quite as much. Although it does a lot to the snare drum. That sounds great. So, super musical drums right out of the box. Don't be afraid to use some dampening, change up the drum heads, take these drums to all kinds of places because they'll go with you anywhere that you take them. Well, okay. In this video, you learned a little bit of the history of the Broadkaster series. You learned how the drums are constructed. You heard the drums. Hopefully you liked what you heard. The drums are so musical. They are so much fun to play. I'm very lucky to be in this position, of course. You heard the drums wide open with no dampening. You heard the drums with some dampening, snare wires on and off, all of those configurations. But now, let's take an up-close and detailed look at the drums on the inside. The bearing edges, the shells, the hardware, the tom mounts, the throw-off and strainer on the matching snare, the kick drum spurs. We're going to look at everything. Let's do it now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the up-close look at these fantastic Broadkaster drums. Let's check out the kick drum first. The first thing to point out on the kick drum are the claw hooks. Die-cast chrome claw hooks with padding on the inside, so it is going to protect your wood hoop, and the ever-classic Gretsch lugs. They're full size, they look amazing on any drum, and with this gold mist lacquer, they look just beautiful. Another thing I always like to point out on kick drums are the kick drum spurs. These are the modern telescoping kick drum spurs from Gretsch. They're super easy to use, they stay in place, they're really sturdy, and just really well made. The next thing to show you is the mounting system. On this particular kit that I have here, the tom is mounted directly onto the kick drum, which I love. It's classic, the drum is always in the right place, it's easy to adjust, it's just great, and I think the drums sound beautiful. You're not losing any decay, any resonance by the drums being mounted directly onto the shell. Since I only have one rack tom in this setup, there's only one tom on the rod here, but of course you could fit two toms. The tom is easily adjusted with the ball joint right here. Yeah, goes anywhere you want it. You can go up and down on the L rod here, of course. You can also turn the whole piece. If you loosen it right there on the big rod, it'll send it up and down, also go back and forth. That part is really convenient when you have two toms, like a 10 and a 12 maybe, and you want to get them close together or kind of one above the other. By moving the tom back and forth on the main rod, you can totally adjust the toms however you like. A quick reminder right here, after I go through all of the features of the drums like this, I am going to take the heads off of the rack tom here so you can see inside the shell, the silver sealer, the round over bearing edge. You can see the plies of the shell construction. All of that stuff we're going to look at up close in just a moment, but right now let's look at the rack tom. As with all Gretsch drums, 12 inches and smaller, it's a 5-lug drum. Classic Gretsch build right there. The Broadkaster toms come with Gretsch's 302 3mm double-flanged steel hoops. These are sort of like the stick chopper hoops back in the 1950s, but they don't really chop up your sticks that much. Maybe they did way back then. Sticks weren't as durable back in the 1950s. They're way more durable now. So if you're not hitting rim shots all the time, your sticks are going to totally be fine. But what's great about these hoops is they give the drum bite, resonance, feel. They're a little bit thinner than the full-on die-cast hoops, but you still get that beefiness of a double-flanged steel hoop. There's not much else to point out on the rack tom other than the fact that, like I said before, you can get the GTS tom mounting system rather than going direct to shell like I have it here. On the floor tom, you get very beefy, very sturdy floor tom legs. Now, you might think that's a small thing, but I think it's a very big thing, especially if you're taking your drums on the road a lot, in and out of clubs, on stages. The rubber feet work really well. Your drum's never going to move. It's just a great piece of gear for your floor tom. Last but not least is the fantastic matching snare drum. 6.5 by 14. You get the 302 double-flanged hoops on the snare as well. Also, the wonderfully easy working lightning throw-off and butt plate. Very easy to adjust the snare wire tension. Very easy to turn the snare wires on and off while you're playing. It's a great system. And this version of the snare comes with 20-strand snare wires. All right, now it's time to look inside the drum and check out this beautiful shell. I got my drum key. Just bear with me for 1 second here. All right. And there you go. The inside of the drum, the beautiful silver sealer, doing its thing on the inside. It feels really smooth on the inside. It's gorgeous. And that perfect rounded over bearing edge. It's really smooth to the touch, and you could tell how the drum head is going to have more contact with the shell because of this edge. It feels perfect, and it's just beautifully well made. Yes, I did put on my reading glasses because when I look at things up close, I need a little bit of help these days, but that's okay. Do what you got to do, and I wanted to look up close with you at this perfectly constructed shell. You can distinctly see the different colors of the wood, the 3 plies. Again, the drum edge is perfect. It's just a gorgeous constructed drum. And here you go, the Broadkaster shell. So thanks so much for watching. And if you have any questions about the kit, the sizes, the setup, what I'm using in this video, drop them in the comments. And to check out a Broadkaster kit for yourself, which I sure hope you do, head to your local Gretsch dealer. Until next time, everybody, keep playing, keep exploring, and we will see you again soon. Cheers.